A long time ago, after the Great Flood, the whole world had just one language. Everyone spoke the same words and understood each other perfectly well. It was much easier to work together because they could communicate so well. But there was one problem. Even after the flood wiped out all wickedness from the earth, sin began to corrupt Noah and his people again. Noah failed too, also in a garden. Noah planted a vineyard and made wine. He drank too much wine and got drunk. He fell asleep naked in his tent. His son Ham saw him naked in the tent. Ham went outside and told his brothers Shem and Japheth. They put a garment over their shoulders and walked backward to cover Noah so they would not see him naked. Noah ended up naked and ashamed, just like Adam and Eve did in the Garden of Eden. People became disobedient and wanted to be self-sufficient and independent from God. Noah had a rebellious great-grandson called Nimrod, who became the first leader after the flood. He was a warrior of great stature and had supernatural strength. But Nimrod was bitter and resentful because God cleaned the earth with the flood. Nimrod wanted to rule over his people, in his kingdom and his own city. So he and his followers went searching for a place where they could do their own thing. One day, as the people traveled across the land, they found a wide, flat plain called Shinar. It was a good place to settle down. It was a broad area of relatively flat land, so they decided to stay there. As Nimrod began his reign, he and his followers had one goal for their new place. They said to each other, "Let's build a city right here. And let's build a tower so tall it reaches the sky. Then we'll be famous and everyone will remember us forever. We'll stay together and never be scattered all over the earth." The people worked hard in their city. They didn't use stones like we might expect. Instead, they made bricks by baking mud in the hot sun. They used tar to stick the bricks together, and soon their tower began to grow taller and taller. From up in heaven, God saw what they were doing. God knew that they weren't building the tower to honor him. They were building it to make themselves great, and that wasn't part of God's plan. They felt they didn't need God to rule over them. They could rule themselves and reach the heavens on their terms, with their own hands, by their means. God wanted people to live all over the earth, not just in one place after the flood. God said, "Go be fruitful and multiply all over the earth." But they wanted to stay in one place. Then God said, "If they can all work together and understand each other so well, nothing will stop them from doing whatever they want, even things that aren't good for them. I need to help them remember who is truly in charge." God decided to confuse their language. So God said, "Come, let us go down and confuse their language so they will not understand each other." Suddenly, when people spoke, they couldn't understand each other. Someone would ask, "Hand me a brick." But the other person could not understand. Everyone started speaking different languages. They tried to keep building the tower, but they couldn't work together anymore. The city became filled with noise, people shouting, waving their arms and trying to understand each other. Eventually, they gave up on the tower and left the city behind. They spread out across the earth just like God wanted. The place where this happened became known as Babel, which means confusion because God confused their language there in Babel. Wow, the end of our story, but don't go away. Let's jump into another exciting story to enjoy. See you there.